nameless man who we meet during the aftermath of a humiliating personal tragedy. He has just lost his family to an wealthy, arrogant employer, and the man sets out for revenge. And through an accident, he meets a young woman who changes his life path. I mean, what attracted you to this story? Why did you choose to tell this tale?
Почему вы решили рассказать именно об этой истории? Почему вы вообще решили снять фильм об этом? То, что мужчина встречает молодую женщину и меняется.
Мне тоже интересно, почему вы выбрали именно эту картину в этот фестиваль.
Мы евреи. He asks, we are interested too, why you choose our movie for this festival and why we become the best from another thing.
Мне кажется, это очень банальная тема.
Банальная.
Банальная.
This.
Много фильмов на эту тему.
May I have my Google Translate? I'm sorry.
So he's saying
about love, people talks everywhere and every movies, and it's not only in our movie. He says about.
Тем более, 3 года тому назад «Страсть», первая картина моя, на эту же тему была снята и здесь вне конкурса участвовал.
3 years ago, our director Temirbek shooted another movie about love with old man and young woman, and he sent his film here, but it didn't win. That's why I think that he prepared another to win these competitions.
Там тоже была молодая девушка и старик.
Dina, you have created a wonderful silent, speechless duet with your co-star Akilbek, Akilbakov. Tell me about your experience. Is it the first time you have played a character that is mute on screen?
Он говорит, чтобы я рассказала о своей роли. This is my second film. I played. I was a killer, woman who kills people. And
was it difficult to play this role, since you don't have any speech, any lines?
No, it wasn't difficult. It was very interesting because movie can give you a chance to be another person. When you're born, you can't choose who will be yourself, where you will born, and who will be your parents, and where. In movies, you can kill, you can be bad, you can be good, and all this experience gives films. It wasn't hard. It was very interesting because in that moment I was another person.
It's wonderful. And as this motif of a man going through a very a steep change in life, which is also a motif in The Eternal Road, then my next question would be to Mr. Annila. Your previous film was The Sauna, which is a slightly different film from this one. What led you to the story of Igitee, which is based on a novel by Matti Tuuri?
Quite common story. The producer was crazy enough to call me when he needed a director. And I didn't believe the story that Ilkka was telling me about American immigrants and the American Finns coming to the Soviet Union in 1920s and 1930s. I haven't heard anything about it. And Ilkka sent me the book, and as I started to read it, I didn't put it away. It went like a train, and at the end of the book, I find myself crying. It was a very emotional book, and that's why I called Ilkka back saying that I'm ready to do anything that is necessary so that we can tell this untold true story through the film.
And Tommi, you play the lead character, and you are also becoming, or maybe have become already, one of the iconic actors of Finland of our times. What does this role mean to your career?
I don't know what it what it means to my career, but it was, well, at first it was like a dream for actor. It was like the first time I'm in every scene, so that's every actor's dream. Finally it happens. It's only me and no one else. But to be honest, the story touched me as well, and it's when day by day I heard that who are going to be my co-actors. And it sounded better and better that we got from Denmark this City Puppet Knudsen with us, and then I had a privilege to act last time with Lembit Ulfsak from Estonia, and then we have other amazing Estonian actors as well, and the whole cast. And the story, it sounded really good, and with I haven't worked with HA before, so it was nice. We have this strange family background that I've known him from child. I'm 10 years older. I wish to be younger, but I have to add, well, I'm older, yeah. And then, so it was like really amazing story that now we are making movie together. So that's it.
And perhaps Ilkka, you would like to comment on, well, the film is produced by 3 countries actually, co-produced, Finland, Estonia, Sweden. The story is, I would even say, equally important to the Estonians and Finns, as the deportations and the Red Terror actually touched our both nations. So could you tell us a bit about the background of the production? So how was it to work with the 3 nations and 2 people from 2 film communities, basically now united, the Estonians and the Finnish?
Well, most of my productions are co-productions anyway, and I think the film community itself has become international. Most of the crews nowadays are multinational crews, and the financing comes from various countries. So I don't think that in that sense the Eternal Road was a kind of groundbreaking project. But what I think was different to anything else was that we are making a kind of huge, big, epic film about a story that nobody knows. It was a story that was silenced, about people who were forgotten, and that, I think, was also the reason why all these, not only the financiers and the backers of the production, but also the filmmakers and the crew members, until the smallest extra in our team, was so motivated to do this film and tell this story. And now, if I hear the audience reactions and see the film also myself, so I have to say that it's a kind of how would I say, it's a dedication to those people who lost their lives, who were idealists. They believed in a better world, and they were ready to go for their dream, for their ideal, all the way to the end, until the bitter end.
Do I have any questions already? Yeah.
I have a question. Hello, my name is Režissöör Antti-Jussi Annila. I'm a journalist from Riga, from Latvia. And I have a question because this film is also part of the Finnish 100 years anniversary, and next year the Baltic states also have this big anniversary. So would you say this film wouldn't be possible if it wasn't for this, let's say, big event, and how much the fact that Finland celebrates this anniversary has influenced the choice of theme and can you please comment
Well,
on that?
maybe I can answer that because I've been working on this story since 7-8 years. And originally, the novel, The Eternal Road, is the third part of a trilogy about the same Tommi Korpela's character. I also had an idea of shooting the first part where the main character was actively creating a labor union movement in New York just before the First World War. That was Tommi, and is building skyscrapers. So it was a kind of world I was very interested in, and as I said, it was an untold story. The 100th centennial of the Finnish independence came more or less as a timing for this, telling this story. This film would have been made in any case, and this story would have been told in any case or by somebody else if we wouldn't have told it. It is such a powerful story. I'm very happy and very proud that AJ, who kind of has the ability to create worlds we don't know, could got interested in especially in this story.
Maybe you can tell a little bit about your, let's say, inspiration to make this kind of historical epic, because it feels like a big epic film
I think that
develops over so many years.
Yeah. I think that what really inspired me about the book wasn't the fact that it's an epic story set in 1930s Soviet Union and Finland. What really inspired me about the book was that I didn't know if I was reading a story from the 1930s or am I reading a story from the near future or 2017. The most inspiring thing is that it's a story of a time in the world where at least it seemed that everything was very black and white. People took their sides in a very passionate way. I'm on the right, I'm on the left. And then we have a main character who is a pacifist and chooses the only side that you can actually choose, the humanity side. And as we were doing this film and during the last 5-7 years, I've grown a little bit nervous that I think that we are starting to live in a very black and white world once again, and I think that that was the most inspiring thing, and that's what I think is the real reason why this story is now made, because it's a very timely story at the moment, unfortunately.
But that is about history. History keeps on repeating itself. It's kind of the course of life.
And do you feel that there is a demand for stories like this? So what are your hopes for, let's say, for the Finnish cinemas with this project?
Well, it already has been a success in the Finnish cinemas. So we have reached in those, well, in audience number terms, our expectations. What I'm personally hoping for is that this story will also speak for audiences outside of Finland.
And how many you have spectators in Finland?
We have about 130,000 right now. And it's still, I think it was number 10 in our box office, still this week. And obviously, if you look at a film like The Eternal Road, so in my own productions, I could compare it to those films I've been producing during the past 30 years and which still are kind of have kind of survived all the years and not only myself but the audience is able to watch. So the Eternal Road has the quality of a classic.
How big is the budget?
3.3 million euros.
Which was co-funded by the Estonian cash rebate, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, it's the very first film funded by the Estonian cash rebate system, which we are very grateful for.
I have a question to maybe AJ and Tommi here about the character that Tommi played. His road is, well, the character's curve could be, or the story could be considered as a survivalist story, but not in only the sense of physically surviving, but also like morally keeping your ground, because he does create a second family. So, and in those times, I mean, it must have perhaps even seen a bit more drastic step. So, how was it like to portray that character? How did you feel about this man when you were embodying him?
Well, the man was quite easy for me to find, but the story is so absurd. We worked a lot with those things too, because nowadays it's almost impossible to believe that there was a kind of a system that we were thinking about. Why is he not escaping, and how can there be such a system that it's impossible to escape, and those things that happened that make them believable. As an actor, you have to believe it yourself that this is like it's happening. And this second family was kind of, we talked about it a lot with Ai and this Puppet Knuts, and it's kind of they found each other, but in a way they are like surviving themselves with each other, that they are like, I was searching a lot this, like why some people survive and why some don't, that it's like the one main key is the hope, that the man or woman who still got something to wait, to hope for, it's like they might survive. And of course my character, it was this family in Finland. I kept it in my mind like day by day that there is something waiting for me, so because of that I can take quite much load to my back. So, but yeah.
And I think that the family in Finland for the character was also for me as a director, because it's an absurd story that pulls him in very different ranges and situations, that you need to find something very simple, that you as a director also you know that the character is heading that way. And for me, through all that madness, the whole film for him is about going home. So even the new relationship, the new identity, that's one step closer to home in a way. So that made it not easy but doable for me.
Actually, this motif leads me to a question to Temirbek. Your protagonist also has a finding himself through hope, but thanks to a woman that enters his life. I wanted to ask if what the story means to you, and what did you see, like of significance in the lead character, the old man who doesn't even have a name, and why doesn't he have a name? Could you comment on that, please?
То, что вы говорили, что мужчина, получается, нашел себя через женщину, через любовь. Что это для вас значит и почему у этого мужчины нет имени? То есть, как вы идентифицируете?
У этого мужчины имени нету. В смысле?
Ну,
по фильму, да?
По фильму, да.
Я же сказал, да, вот через этот мужчину он хочет узнать, что мы хотим сказать, да?
Что вы конкретно для себя хотите сказать?
Для себя? К сожалению, да, в этой жизни многие думают, что любят кого-то, да? Но зачастую там ему и объясни, что это просто иллюзия. Многие думают, что это любовь, но это иллюзия. Я думаю так.
Many people think that they live in love, but they really don't know what love it is, because many people live in illusion that they understand what is love.
Пока он не встретит настоящую любовь.
Before they meet real love, and you can sacrifice yourself for your love.
Мы все, вот, например, мы все думаем, что кого-то любим, да? А мы же не знаем, по-настоящему ли мы любим.
Ну, я сказала про это.
Сказал, да? Ага.
То есть, о чем вы хотели сказать в этом фильме, получается, конечное?
Вот этот старик, который ушел, да? Когда человек находит по-настоящему свою любовь, когда находит, для него жизнь наполняется смыслом.
Мы говорили об этом.
Да? А зачем тогда он спрашивает?
Нет, вот что вы хотите сказать через это? То, что он нашел смысл?
Да, конечно.
А что для тебя вы
И вот
вытащили?
он не зря умер, да? Вот он, надо же в жизни, я говорю, в жизни мы часто думаем, что любим.
Ну, что вы для себя вынесли, получается?
В
Через
этом,
этот фильм? Сейчас вы...
через этот фильм вот им объясни, что сценарий, человек, который вот написал этот сценарий, он умер.
Temirbek.
Да.
Person who wrote this script, he's died. And you?
И вот хотел снять вот эту историю, которую вот Тemirbek написал, да, вот человек, который написал вот эту историю, хотел написать. А потом я начал думать, почему он написал эту историю.
And then he began thinking why he wrote this story, that scriptwriter.
И получилась его жизнь, жизнь автора вот этого, да, вот точно такой же, как в этом фильме.
And he opened that the author's life was without love, and he wants to tell people how he lived, and he wants to show that the author who wrote about love, he didn't have love in his own life.
Вот. И через этот фильм я понял, что мы всегда снимаем или пишем свою историю, свою жизнь.
Через фильмы.
Да, через экран,
for
через
this-
книги.
And through this film, he understands that people, directors or actors, they all want to show their own life, their own inner, through that work they do.
And how do you personally relate to that man, the old man?
Какие у вас отношения с этим человеком? Ну, с героем.
С каким героем? С этим?
Appleback.
Хорошие отношения, очень хорошие
То есть
отношения.
вы его понимаете?
Конечно. Почему? Потому что этот главный герой просто прототип того главного автора. Он сыграл автора, в принципе, получается. Temirbek и все, прототип.
He understands that hero, Jakob, because he is a prototype from that author who wrote that script. Oh, my English become better.
Я думаю, завтра придет переводчица. Она лучше, наверное, донесет до зрителей этот.
Tomorrow will be translated and you will understand this our film better than I can tell about.
As we all have to now, or you have to run to the next interviews, and the screenings will be beginning shortly. First, it's The Eternal Road tonight with the international premiere, and then Night Accident with the world premiere in Cosmos IMAX at 9:30. You are all most welcome because there are some seats left for the Night Accident screening. The Eternal Road has already sold out, but I think the film will be in cinemas in Estonia as well, starting from December 1st, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, on Friday the 1st, so we will open in actually all screens in Estonia, and let's hope that film will speak for itself, and the audience is interested in seeing it.
And yes, they're all both wonderful films. One very sweet and small one, a poetic journey, and the other one, a harsh journey in history and a beautiful one. So you're all welcome to the screenings, and thank you.